Our 26th president was known as an environmentalist, a Rough Rider, and a very devout Christian. He hated to be called Teddy Roosevelt. His name was Theodore. He got his name after a bear, and it became a teddy bear that we know so well today. Roosevelt's religious heritage produced, however, a lot more than lip service. The Rough Rider was another of our presidents who attended church regularly and stoutly supported the practice, saying, "I know all the excuses for not going to church. I know that one can worship the Creator and dedicate himself to good living in a grove of trees, or by a running brook, or in one's own house, just as well as in the church. But I also know that, as a matter of cold fact, the average man does not thus worship or dedicate himself." The Roosevelt family was steeped in the Reformed tradition, and young Theodore joined that church when he was 16 years old, and he never wavered from it. During his presidency, Teddy Roosevelt maintained his support of the Reformed Church. He was so consistently punctual when attending Grace Reformed Church at 15th and G Streets that members set their watches on his arrival for the 11 o'clock Sunday worship. One Sunday he was late, causing everyone to be upset. After the service, Roosevelt sought out the head usher, D.O. Thomas, and apologized, promising that he would never be late again. And he kept his word. Roosevelt took part in the services with the same infectious enthusiasm that characterized his other activities. He was a particularly vigorous, if not raspy, hymn singer, especially during his favorite hymns, "How Firm a Foundation" and "A Mighty Fortress is Our God." Worshippers reported that his voice could be heard above the rest of the congregation. One popular story of the day had Roosevelt reorganizing the Heavenly Choir after his death, with 10,000 sopranos, 10,000 altos, 10,000 tenors, adding, "I'll sing bass." Author John Sutherland Bunnell called Teddy Roosevelt's faith a muscular Christianity, which just about says it all. He projected an uninhibited masculine image throughout all of his life. At the same time, he disdained dirty jokes and avoided anyone who began telling one. He felt that he had the right to live as his conscience dictated, in an unpolluted environment. The president's self-determination led him to reject some of the more orthodox teachings of the early 20th century, among which was the doctrine of salvation by faith alone, as promoted by Lutherans and Presbyterians. He said, "I believe in the gospel of works, as put down in the epistle of James. Be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only." He also trumpeted another theme found in the same epistle: faith without works is dead. His favorite text was Micah, the 6th chapter, the 8th verse. "He hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what the Lord doth require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God." He set Washington tongues wagging when he invited a black man, the famous educator Booker T. Washington, to dinner at the White House. No president before him had ever invited a non-white to share dinner at the executive mansion. But Roosevelt believed that the proclamation, "all men are created equal," was more than an ideal written on parchment. In 1905, he ran into trouble. He hired the American sculptor Augustus St. Gaudens to design a new penny, along with a $10 and $20 gold piece. St. Gaudens recommended, for purely aesthetic reasons, to eliminate the words, "In God we trust." But his suggestion had the backing of Theodore Roosevelt, because he believed that the love of money was the root of all evil, as it says in Holy Scripture, and on filthy lucre God ought not to be placed. The new coins were minted and issued in November 1907. To the uproar of the populace, one caustic soul suggested that perhaps the president wished the inscription to read, "In Theodore we trust," and to replace the symbol of the eagle with a teddy bear named after Roosevelt. Perhaps the historian and journalist Harry R. Luce best put in perspective President Theodore Roosevelt's individualistic theology and perspective. My own political hero was Theodore Roosevelt, who, fallible though he was, did not hesitate to assert that righteousness is relevant to politics and all the public affairs of men and of nations. Our 26th President, Theodore Roosevelt.